Let's get a picture of me and Maddie together.
I should have brought my hazmat suit. I actually own one.
Maddie!
Oh, sorry.
Goodness!
Happy Halloween!
Who wants to get?
It's a little bit too big.
The hood is too big for her, but it should.
A creature from another world.
The unhappy dog.
No!
We can just pull it back on for the picture. She's got a
Well,
hood.
she has a stinger.
Oh
my god.
her tail worked as a stinger too. Maddie, you're adorable.
Maddie! Oh, Maddie. Come up here.
I don't know what's going on, but
You look very cute.
For Halloween, I'm a general athlete, and it's my excuse to wear this thing that has my name on it that I've only worn once.
Who wants the? Maddie, come here, girl.
okay, we got the hood back on. Oh, and there goes all my stuff. Don't worry about it. I can retrieve it from the floor. No big deal.
Do I look through here or does it come up on the screen?
You can just look through that thing.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, very.
Everybody, thank you.
Get the dog right there. Or else I'm gonna get stung.
Oh no.
Oh, Maddie.
Come here, girl.
Yeah. Scoot over,
Ready?
dog.
Yeah.
Come on.
1, 2.
Yeah, just take a bunch.
Hey. Let her color.
Ready?
Hey.
So cute.
Bumblebee. You want me to stand with the bumblebee?
Okay, come on, man. Your head is too small for the hood.
Good girl, Maddie.
She won't look.
Call her, Larry.
Ready?
Hey!
Hey.
Awesome.
Really cute.
Good job, class. This is adorable.
Good job, Maddie.
Okay, Maddie. I'm gonna be laughing the rest of the time.
Reaction.
Okay.
Taylor, set up time, go, go, go.
Yeah. What time we got?
I definitely need Anna for this part.
This.
This is number 1.
Which is that?
Okay, I don't get it, not full.
There, that's not good.
Maddie.
Okay, so everything, okay, so that's, is that for the platform?
Yeah.
Alright, well, let's pull out the box.
I think we're just waiting on Anna. Hopefully she is not trapped in the spooky elevator.
Hopefully. She has you today. We can.
Where are we gonna set
Stuck
it
your
up?
phone.
Do we wanna take our, yeah. I guess we put it on the table, even though it's not much space.
When we got into work last night, Andy, we literally screamed.
I remember that.
Yeah. We had a laugh last night, so.
Watch this.
Nice.
Peel off your label. Tangled wires, and we're going to untangle it without.
Okay. Who needs the computer? I have it all ready and set up for you.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know it was bring your costume to class day.
I think that's what's
There
Halloween.
was a creepy girl about something, and I.
It really told
Was
us
she
about
just a creepy girl dressed creepy, or?
When I can't see people's faces, it scares me.
You wouldn't like my friend who's running around with Santa Hedgehog.
No, I don't.
Santa Hedgehog? everybody's
Remember
all.
the theme song and everything?
Wait, someone
It's
was
great.
writing
Oh man, you gotta send me a picture.
No, I'm
of that.
gonna send you the video when he's finished.
Oh, good, good.
You know the scarecrow from Batman? Someone was riding their bike today with like what looks like that on their head, and it was very.
Yes.
It was so cool.
Maybe they just
I
have
already saw the
a
Joker in the Joker Harley Quinn.
Happened to be
Video
Halloween.
on mine yet? Yeah, I didn't have time to finish. Put it in there.
I was gonna wear my Mario sunglasses, but then I couldn't find the rest of my red shirts, so no Mario sunglasses.
Okay.
And they just put it in there, and I'm gonna put the argument in my computer.
Probably need to calibrate this.
Well, we're gonna have to recalibrate everything.
And I was making
Is
it
that right? Oh, it looks like the pad came off.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'll get a blue gun.
Wait.
Did you get this,
Well, look at this
the thing that actually blocks the water?
Oh.
Cool, class. We're gonna get started up a little bit today. Okay. So, real quick, what we're gonna do is while you guys are getting set up and stuff, and while we're waiting for Anna, we are going to. Well, what are we gonna do today? What's up?
Continue our project.
Yes.
Our
You're,
prototype.
you're gonna present your prototypes, and we're going to critique them. Okay. I want us to collaboratively come up with the points of critique. It's a spooktacular class today.
Yay.
Halloween, okay? So, think about the assignment and start telling me things that your projects need so that we can use these as reference points for discussing each of the projects. What's
Animal
one thing?
interaction.
What's that?
Animal interaction.
Boom! Okay, so let's say the actual
You want this guy out?
Yeah.
Okay.
animal interaction. I'm gonna say the proof. That's kind of one of the main things we're gonna focus on today. This can get broken down into kind of two main parts. What do you think they could be? Any ideas?
Maybe one, if it's useful to the animal, two, if the animal actually interacts with it.
Let's say, put that down as another thing, we'll think about this useful for the animal. And maybe another thing of like, if it actually interacts. We'll say like the effectiveness of your interactions, effectiveness, because maybe it kind of bumped against it, or maybe it just loves your thing and it's always playing with it. So, effectiveness. Okay, but your animal, the interaction. What are like two just parts that we may be talking about in this class?
Input output?
Boom! There we go. Yeah, just the input output is what I was looking for right there. So the input, we'll talk about the input, and B, the output. For the inputs and outputs, we can think about like how effective it was, and maybe any alternatives. If people can suggest alternatives that might make it better or might make it easier for the humans or the animals to understand. What about the output? What are some things we can judge about the output?
There's also effectiveness.
Sure. Effectiveness in how? How?
Bless you.
Batman. How could our output be effective in our projects?
How well it detects the animal?
The output?
I have a Batman cape that should have brought that.
Yeah, like what data you get from it.
You're going to need, this will be the animal interaction. We have the input from the animal, right? We have the output to the animal. So the output's not where we get the data.
Yeah, but based on how good the input is how big your output can be.
Okay, so maybe like it's the processing that went into the data. So what kind of processing did you do? Is it press a button, a light goes on or something like that? Or is it like some really sophisticated control system where I press this and then these creatures come to life mimicking perfectly fruit fly formations and stuff like that? So the data processing you can do with the output. What's another part of the output again? Like, for instance, if you have a gerbil, and whenever it goes somewhere, you have a little debug menu in your processing window that just says, "Good job, gerbil." How would that rank for the output back to the gerbil?
So it's actually got to interact well with the animal based on their abilities?
Yeah, maybe like readability for the creature. Okay, so that's kind of the animal interaction part. That's the parts of the assignment that we took from the Stupid Pet Tricks project, right? But now we're building on that. What are the newer parts of the assignment?
We have to have an additional input and
Boom!
output.
Additional, the environmental.
Changing the environment.
Bless you.
Yeah, the main point is change the environment.
Environmental interaction. So we have the two parts. How does your digital thing play with your animal to get some sort of weird interaction that didn't exist before? And then also, how do we incorporate impact from the environment into these interactions? So what are just a couple parts of the environmental interaction that we can use as points of reference and discussion when you guys are presenting your projects?
Like now or in the end?
Both. I mean, we're going to be critiquing them in order to help you guys shape a more well-balanced, awesome final project.
So like out, the difference in the environment right now is outside you can hang this guy, but in here there's nothing to hang it from. But
Okay. So maybe like a key point of your environmental interaction is how well integrated it is into
space, right?
a particular space. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We have a question.
Oh, Maddie, go say hello.
Oh, we already have one bumblebee. Oh, now we have a.
Scooby.
It could be a giant bumblebee. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
No, they should react to this thing.
Nice.
The dog thing. Very shy.
Does she want to be a ladybug?
Not a ladybug.
She's very timid.
She had a bumblebee costume as a puppy, but she definitely outgrew it. I'm gonna set my stuff down. Yeah. Maddie's like, oh my god, this is so okay. Okay, Maggie loves it. Okay, girl.
So like it's
Wait, Maddie. She's an English mastiff. Yeah, mastiff. Oh my god.
Trying to get it off. Charlotte?
So I have treats and you can tell the treats gone.
Nice. Treats for the animals.
That's okay. Not for the people. I mean, yeah. Welcome to Maddie at dog park. And butt sniffing. Maddie loves her friend. Scout, come here. She loves dogs. Scout, see this? Hey, this. Hey, this. Maddie,
that actually happens.
Sit. Hey.
Can we put Maddie in one side of the zone to help them acclimate?
Does that make you happy? Wait, do you want me to hold my
Yeah, there we go. Just
Should
let
we-
him chill for a little.
Sit down.
Good dog.
Sit down. She's so big, but she scares literally everything.
All right, cool. So right before you came in, Anna, today we're going to do our critiques, and we're just coming up with points of critique. Katie,
Yes.
run us through what points of critique we've already chatted about.
Okay, so we're talking about the animal interaction and like the proof that it works, and so your input and then the output and how like relatable those are and how effective they are. And then another thing is like, is it useful for the animal and like would the animal do it like on a daily basis kind of thing?
Sure, just how effective it is at, sensing your animal and also maybe getting your animal to react with it or something like that.
Yeah.
So another component we're talking about then is how well integrated it is to the environment. That's like, does it make use of like the particularities of this environment that adds to your overall project. Two more things that I would like to add are overall guidelines for your projects, whether they are, where's an eraser? The erasers have mysteriously disappeared.
Like a border racer?
Yeah. So I have long sleeves today.
And the white stuff.
Some of the main goals for your projects and all the projects in this class are going to be probably one of these three criteria. One, does it give the humans, whether they're interacting in this process or not, some new vantage point to what the animals do? Does it make the animals more relatable? Does it help us get into the mindset of one particular aspect of their behavior? Does it somehow just bring these build a deeper connection between the humans who are building these projects, or viewing your documentation of these projects, or looking at the projects themselves? Does it bring them into a tighter bond with the animal? So let's say human-animal connection. Okay?
Can you explain a little bit more what you mean by like tighter bond?
Sure.
Like,
Just so you know how since I made you guys do some of those little bio performances, a lot of you come in here and just be like, "Oh, Andy, I saw all these ants and they were eating this caterpillar, and whoa, it was super weird, and I wouldn't have noticed it except for we had to do these exercises, and now I'm kind of noticing these weird creatures that are underneath the leaves or things like that." So really things that make you notice animals more in your daily environment, or plants or creatures and what they do, or things that help you relate to them in ways you wouldn't have been able to, such as things on different time scales. So if things grow really slowly and you don't really notice them change, but your project documents them absorbing color, or maybe Danielle's project where you could see these changes in flowers over different days and also kind of visualize your temperature of your environment. Things like that, things that are basically, you're noticing aspects of your animals more often than you would normally be doing. Another possible alternative or addition to that would be if your project is helping to create or reveal a behavior that wouldn't normally exist without the digital aspect of it. So your animals are all evolved to very specific habitats and things like that, and they tend to do kind of the same things day in, day out. They got their day jobs. Even if they're your pets, They wake up, they go to their food bowl, they go home. You know, it's the doldrums of daily life, even if it's still very fun and things like that. But there's a lot of weird different behaviors that they won't express unless they are exposed to this new phenomenon. So you remember when I showed you the ants that were reacting to the ice in the wild? They were doing this weird thing that we never saw them do where they dragged each other out of the ice from being all frozen and stuff. So if your project can reveal novel behavior,
So like something like that would provoke some sort of like good moral aspect of the animal, like the ants sticking up for each other would be like that novel behavior? Okay.
well, it's more like if we've just never seen the ants do that. It doesn't have to be like
okay.
a good behavior or bad behavior.
It's
It's just that we never really saw the ants do that particular thing before. So it's like if you're feeding your cats and suddenly you learn that if you feed them from a rotating bowl, they always do a backflip before they eat their food. And we would have never known this before because this only happens when food comes from a rotating thing. Who knows? But an example of just like something weird that you're exposing the animal to something weird and you get kind of a weird new result that you wouldn't normally see. And then probably the last thing is just, are you making use of the behavioral abilities of the computer? Could you do your project, if you could do your project purely mechanically, that is like, instead of pressing a button and then having it go through an Arduino, and the Arduino goes, there's a button pressed and then it turns a light on, is there something special about the computing that you're doing that helps you make a project that you wouldn't normally be able to achieve purely mechanically? So are you making use of the affordances of digital media? Okay. So we'll call that digital exploitation.
Oh my god, eating.
Okay. These make sense to people?
Yes.
Then let's start critiquing some projects. Who wants to present first?
We can.
Boom. You guys presented first last time. So we are going to make.
Yeah, you're first. Yeah, we can go first.
You guys go first.
Let's go. Can we gotta use your computer?
Danielle called me up earlier. She got some sort of car wreck or something on the interstate. She's fine and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, she's totally fine.
I feel like our class has a lot of weird things happen to them. They're trying to make it to
I know, right?
Like two car bombs who get stuck in an elevator.
Yeah.
Did you bring it in with you?
I think it's because so many people live off campus.
For volunteering,
Scout loves
and
other
we're
dogs.
going first. And that's only Danielle.
No, that's not for you.
Oh yeah, dog's throwing you.
Oh yeah, also Andy.
You are
Yeah.
very
Funny
nice.
story.
I really like you. You're pretty good at like not eating human food.
No, it is.
Don't try. And if no one
Oh, we both
yeah.
tried it. There's all sorts of weird stuff in the bird.
Oh, weird.
There's like bananas and peanuts and pumpkin.
Cool. It's always cool to eat your food that you guys are doing like the Natalie German thing.
We tried to eat peanuts.
You wanna go?
Pretty spicy, right?
Probably take the lid off.
Alright, cool. So you guys gonna present? Do you need help carrying your things up or anything?
Maybe.
Is your awesome 6-volt battery working good for you?
Yeah, I think like half the juice got drained, but come on, let's
Do you have
go.
a thing to recharge it?
No, is there such thing?
I would think so.
Because I think the whole project exploded quick enough that the battery didn't get completely destroyed. Ours? No, I used that battery in my old project.
I would also recommend getting backup power.
Backup power. I'm thinking of like, instead of, do you have your cord in there, Anna?
Get it out.
Yeah, I have my cord right here. I'm gonna get a bunch of D-volt batteries and put them up into here. And then I'm gonna use one of those like brains you have an APC programmer to make this completely cordless. And
Cool.
put it all in there instead of Mary
Awesome.
having the Arduino.
Do you think you can
Remember
hold
the
on to
1820s
Maddie
can only
for
take about 3 to 5 volts.
3 to 5.
It might be able to take a 6-volt. You can try it out, but if it doesn't work, it just means you broke it. It's 80 cents, just take it when it's fine. My little bumblebee.
Oh wait. I need to get the paper towel because I don't want her to eat the sensor accidentally, so I stick like a paper towel on it when she grabs the treat. I need a paper towel. Maddie. Scout, sit. Sit. Hey. You did a treat.
Here, Maddie. Just go over
Doesn't
here.
listen very well. She's doing a treat.
Scott, stay over there.
Okay. We have to.
That is a humongo dog.
I know, right?
Yeah. Plug it in. No.
They have a really big, weird-looking cat.
Sit.
Oh my gosh.
Sit.
It's
Yeah.
Sensors.
I'm surprised by the amount of dogs people have that don't like bark at all.
It's so
Sit. Oh, she only barks if she feels threatened, like if someone walks up from behind. Sit. Don't move. Yeah, you need to open the code and export it to the there.
They're all hermaphrodites.
Oh, you're just like, who's
the worms.
Maddie?
So is it asexual?
No.
Sit. No.
They're
You're so
hermaphrodite.
good. You're being so good.
They're just lady men.
You are being so good.
She doesn't listen until you treat and then she's like, oh, wait.
Okay, so it's a little ghetto compared to what we had where I did that.
Okay.
Worked pretty well.
Can one of you start talking about your project?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now,
Okay. And let's have everybody listen to them present their project.
Okay, so this is the beginnings of our project. What we have here is and we decided to use a dog because we thought a dog might be more easily trainable than a cat, and Scott's pretty well trained, so we thought she would work well with our project. And so what we have is a photo resistor.
Ready? No.
We have a photo resistor. And
The photoresistor is hidden by, well, if we were doing cat, it'd be hidden by a toy, but this case it's hidden by a treat, and she wants to do that. So when the dog eats the treat, or for instance with the cat, if they're to catch the toy, then they'd be fed food. So it'd be catch your prey, and you get rewarded because you get to eat your prey. So for the dogs, we're probably gonna have to come up with a different motivation, called interaction with them.
Okay.
Like a storyboard, but it works. Whoops. Oops. Oh, there's the treat. Get the treat. Get it. So she ate it. It twisted, but I accidentally moved it, so it twisted once again.
So what's inside the
So
thing?
inside of here, there'll either be food or some other sort of treat. And I was thinking for our extra interaction, if you hear, for instance, I guess, I don't know if the microphones can pick up pitches of voices or words, but if it heard Jake say good dog, it'd spin and give her a treat. Or I could just have a button that someone presses whenever Scout does something good and it gives her a treat. I don't know if that'd be a good.
Buttons are lame.
Yeah, they are lame. Okay, yeah, you said avoid buttons.
Yep.
Let's not do a button.
Avoid buttons, avoid big display screens.
Display screens. Okay. But for the most part, I think I already told you this. I think what we were gonna do.
see, so every single time she goes in front of the photo resistor,
And then walks away.
it moves.
Okay. Can you and so you usually entice her with the
Yeah, we would usually
Something.
entice her. We were thinking of, we didn't have much time to play with her last night. But we were thinking that if there were, because we were thinking with the cat above the photo resistor would be a toy, which would block the photo resistor. But with the dog, we were thinking we could have something such as peanut butter on the end of a wire, the peanut butter that she couldn't reach, So when she was in front of the photoresistor trying to get the peanut butter, it
Okay,
would
so
turn.
the output works.
Yes, it does. She's
Okay.
happy.
So, and it would turn and provide her with the treat.
Yeah. But obviously using a treat to get another treat is kind of bad training. Don't be like, indulge yourself and then get more. So.
And this is planning on not being, I guess, I thought we were going to.
We're gonna investigate it now. There was
We're
something
thinking we
good
could
in
put
it.
it like higher up.
Higher up, yeah. Oh, you could just get like a table and mount it on too, as well.
No.
And so, one problem with having your trigger be a consumable commodity like a treat is just that then you have to always reset it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's some sort of, you know,
Well,
it's
that's
the
what we're
mouse
thinking
thing
if
or
it-
something.
Yeah, or
like
we were thinking like something that she couldn't
Maddie.
reach, but it was on the end of
Maddie.
some sort of wire, such as
Maddie.
like a descent of peanut butter or something, so she would be in front of it trying to reach this peanut butter, whatever it is. The photoresistor's here, so the photoresistor notices her, and then the treat moves, and then she notices the treat.
that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but obviously,
Other things.
new ideas.
What about furher elaborations to your project?
Oh, I wouldn't about like further.
Or
What are you
second input
What are you
output.
trying to communicate through your project?
Dog. It's more like, for instance, if she's like home alone, she's hungry,
Mhm.
or like, I know for like, being students, people will be gone all day and their dog's like, I'm really hungry, or I have to go to the bathroom. Makes it easier for the owner to take care of their pet while they're gone. Like, oh, they ate all the food in the bowl. But if they do something with the sensor, they can get more food. So I know some dogs just eat all the food that's there and then they don't like portion it out, so this would be good. Or, I know this was really good for cats with like diabetes, because they would just eat all their food, so it's like smaller portions. And if they have like a gravity powered automatic cat feeders, they can just literally eat the entire container in one sitting. So this one's better for like portion control for overweight animals.
And this way she can sort of be self-sufficient if
Yeah.
she were to be home alone. Our other input and output is definitely a work in progress.
Yeah, we don't
But
know what our other input could be, so I guess we would like some good suggestions for that. Either cats or dogs. We can switch it over to cats too just as easily. Or, I mean, we could make it that it's used for both.
So I've outlined some points of critique for you guys and the rest of the class. So I would like you to lead the critique of this project.
I'm going to take
Yeah, and every time you plug it in or unplug it, it rotates. I don't know why. But it does.
I think that's just it, like reset, or like
Yeah.
with the Arduino.
We screamed last night, Larry and Mary were like, what's going on? We screamed when it got to work. So excited.
the person was working and then we like decided
Oh, yeah,
to
and you
solder some
soldered.
things.
I unplugged the battery. Yeah, it wasn't working. I was like, it's not working. We broke it. And I was like, it's not plugged in. Oh goodness, it's a bumblebee.
I think it's
Maddie, no stinging.
Come Maddie. That will be gentle.
Maddie.
She'll play back. Oh.
Maddie, come here.
Maddie, come
No.
here. I know you want
That's
to
so
play.
slobbery.
I don't. Maddie.
Okay, people, critique.
I think
Dog,
it's
back
cool
here.
that it like works, like that is really, really cool and the idea of it, so.
Let's see. We were mostly just wondering like what another input could be. Because we think of them, they're essentially like all the same things, but it's automatic. Or an extra output too, because you said it could be input or output.
Now, you guys keep focusing, though, I feel like you're not grounded.
Yeah.
There's the environment has little to do with what's happening.
Maddie.
This would kind of take place anyway.
Could you,
With any animal.
like, replicate this,
Maddie,
but also
I know.
do
You want to do
water and another one? Like, one gives out food and one gives out water?
Maddie.
But we talked, Andy was saying how like water wouldn't really encourage an animal unless it was like absolutely in dire need of water.
So
Yeah.
would the environment maybe be that the animal is home alone? Should we like go further on that?
Like,
If you want to elaborate it, you could be, a house. And so the idea is to incorporate, so you have some sort of house, a domestic setting, a very particular house.
So what if this dog lived outside?
But then that would be a different environment.
Okay.
The key is to make use of what's special about that environment and incorporate it into your project. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. I would definitely say indoor because I feel like most dogs are more indoor than, especially if they're eating that little amount of food, they're probably not a giant dog that's going to be outside.
Other points of critique.
It would be interesting if you didn't okay, so if animals home alone, these might not be related, but like if you didn't want Scout on the couch or something,
Yeah.
and you had like a sensor somehow on the couch, and so if like Scout went on the couch, you could kind of like distract her by just like putting out food like across the room, and she'd have to like get off the couch to go get it. And usually like I feel like they'd be not as smart to be like, I feel like if you offered them food, they would take it every time. So it would be kind of like getting them away from getting on the couch.
But you would jump on the couch.
Yeah, you would jump on the couch and get more
Say,
sleep.
get on the couch.
Then you just
Another
the couch.
smarter dog.
But I think that would be
The higher rhetoric of your project could be that it's something you implant in somebody else's house to train their pets to be bad.
Oh, that would be really funny.
It could, yeah, kind of a weird pet prank device.
So the whole get a treat and then get another treat kind of thing could actually do a treat.
Yeah. But that's like an example of some sort of higher level idea driving the project, and that's what I feel is still a little bit lacking in your guys' thing. It's right now it's a tool. It's like, okay, we have a tool, it can do this, but you need to frame this tool. This is a media class. You need to frame it behind some sort of larger concept than just something utility. Like, is it a product for teaching animals to react badly that you put in the houses of your neighbors that you don't like?
Could we
It's
actually
like a
run with
Trojan
that
horse
idea?
gift.
I feel like that'd be I feel like we could do some really funny stuff with that.
Sure, totally. You could have a whole suite of little devices that train other people's animals. They're like Trojan horse devices that train other people's animals to.
Misbehave.
Yeah.
I feel bad using Scout, but which will be a bad dog.
But you keep on saying that this is only, so this,
I guess that makes it kind of more like a storyline, right?
but how this works depends on, it should depend on where it is in the environment.
Yeah.
Will this,
We can add anything else to it.
So like particular things in the environment, kind of like how she was talking about like a couch, or the lighting, environmental factors, how cold it is. Those are things maybe not as relevant to your thing, but maybe there's like things like problematic zones, like they're not supposed to go into this room. They're not supposed to jump in this area. They're supposed to be quiet in this part of the house. They're not supposed to drink out of the toilet. All kinds of different things that are more specific to the environment rather than a thing that is kind of detached from the environment and can just be implemented anywhere.
Okay.
It can still be portable, and you can bring it to a place and have aspects where it can adapt to this new location. But those are the parts you need to work on and incorporate into your project.
Could we make it so like maybe if it hears her bark, she doesn't like loud noises, it makes like a really loud noise, something like that, where it's more interactive.
Well, that would encourage her to keep working if not eating anything.
Yeah.
well, so something along the lines of like, that she like really liked to drink out of the toilet, like my one dog does, and you had some sort of sensor that when like it was this high, it would maybe like suspect that her head was near the toilet, so then that would send some signal to distract her, like there's a treat, so maybe she would like get off the toilet to.
Sure.
Or to like close the
Give
lid
them a
and
good
just
thing for doing a bad thing, only train them to do the bad thing more. Like, you're on the toilet. Here, have a treat. Get off of that. And eventually they'll just go to the toilet so they can get the treat.
And
or
also,
it could bribe her with the treat and then take it away before she gets it.
but also think about different outputs. So not all animals are motivated by just food. There's other things that motivate them, like another dog. It's very fascinating. just movement, sounds, shaky things, smells. There's all kinds of different other outputs you can use other than treats, because treats have a certain value, but they also, maybe it's hard to, maybe the animal won't always notice if the treat's out. Maybe it's bad to keep giving your dog treats because then it's going to get diabetes for, whatever. So maybe think about alternative outputs as well. Does that make sense?
Maybe it could be like train your dog to do laundry or something.
Sure.
Pick up a sock and then stick a sock on there with the dog, which will actually just really probably mean the dog's chewing on the sock, but theoretically.
But if you could get them to drop the socks in a particular place, that'd be easier to sense.
That'd be true. It would work. Like we can put like Bluetooth sensors in the socks and have it like it's taken from this one and they put the sock near the other sock.
But see,
Sensor.
even the idea of train your dog to do laundry has
So
a
like
little
training.
bit. Well, it has. What I'm saying is, it has more meat to it than just train your dog.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to everyone? Because there's like a lot of like, let's teach something to do X or whatever, but add some more meat to the whole concept. Other ideas, critiques, things. Suggestions. Anybody have any other? We've seen they have one input to the animals.
We know we need another. We didn't really know, so we figured we'd ask for their suggestions or anything else that we could have.
Other types of inputs.
Well,
You know.
considering our initial input and output, though, isn't efficient at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anything besides what you have right now would probably just be there as a second input instead of being a useful alternative. It would just be, oh, and also you can do this, I guess, if you want to.
So we have to have like two different ways for the output to occur?
No.
No, you don't need to.
Oh.
Oh,
You need. What I'm suggesting is for them to think about other.
Okay.
Compartment that escapes, and once it like let it stop moving, it'll spin and then release another thing that escapes, and then it just escapes. So it's like it's a game more like than just something that spins for no good reason. Like if she picks something up off of here, and then like the game begins.
Yeah, they could be an interesting. Games are a good way to, as I was mentioning, email earlier. Yeah, and then just figure out a way to integrate the environment. What you need to do now for like little final things, you need to completely decide on an animal by like today.
Okay.
You need to choose one animal and just completely just go to town with that idea. Then start looking through a couple of these different ideas and try them out. Try out these different inputs and outputs and ways of interaction. See how if the dog likes a thing that comes out. Remember, you don't always have to completely program and do everything. You can puppeteer things and just test out how the thing would work. Maybe you can have some fishing line that performs this thing popping out and rolling around the environment to see if that even attracts the dog whatsoever before you invest in like weird motors and wheels and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I would suggest for you guys right now. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Cool. Who wants to go next? Pop on up, guys.
Yeah, it's pretty 100%. I'm not sure.
It's not moving anytime.
Okay, so we're not moving it.
Okay, so we're class. Our attention is now going towards the back. So somebody tell us about your project and give us your whole frame for it.
So the real life version, the dog was suspended from a tree using this guy.
Yeah.
And the platform is actually also like is flush against this, so we don't
Okay.
have this spillage problem.
So I'm a tree. How's it attached?
So we just kind of take it and
Well, like
You can move the tree if you don't want to move that thing right now.
yeah, well, like this guy is like actively like rooted to the tree, and this is hanging from a tree.
So this
Basically, we can
this is
make
at the
it-
bottom of the tree.
No, in
this is
a
not this
branch or whatever.
All right, so this is a branch. Is this on top of the branch? Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's just glued to the branch so that this can be flushed a lot better. Because on using this thing, it's kind of just going to be a balancing act to get it more like it. Like I'd have to hold it right now or something. But basically, first thing we do is put the servo in it, and then we put the bottle so that it's actually more flush and there's not this spilling problem because there's a half-inch there in
Okay.
space that won't actually be there. And
we can calibrate whatever we have. We can attach a pad or just something like that. There will be something near the tree to act as like a landing point, and it'll be calibrated to whatever's on top of it. So when things land on it, it'll activate, and then it'll release some seed, and then it won't release seed again until they've gotten off and back on.
Like,
So they can't just sit on it.
Step on that, it moves, and it's obviously releasing more seed that way.
Oh, look at that.
And then again, like on a tree, we can have the collection bin be under it instead of like off to the side because the servo's kind of blocking our collection bins in this instance. And we also have a so we were kind of experimenting with ways to distinguish between a bird and a squirrel, and I had checked outside, and it's kind of too small for a camera. I'm not good enough at image tracking to do that, and they're also too similar in color.
There's not much image tracking that's good enough to tell the difference between a bird and a squirrel anyway.
Yeah. So we were considering is using this guy, which he doesn't work very well. It works sometimes, but I like it to put it somewhere where the bird could get to, but the squirrel couldn't, or something like that. But it doesn't. We have to consider different inputs or different ways to distinguish because the PIR sensor it's set up right, but it's not very responsive. So yeah, this obviously you put this somewhere, and that's obvious, like where it would be like on the path to the water bottle, so it would probably cross it. And I'm making a hot mess right now. Yeah.
But are you going to have the thing bare? Or are you going to have a thing on top of it? How's your actual pad going to work, and how's it going to be on a tree?
Well, I'm actually considering using the touche thing instead to just make an entire perch. Be the pressure pad, and that is another thing. Just like glue it to a tree branch.
We can literally just like take this, put it on a stick, and just leave it there and attach the touche to it.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys tested it with a real animal yet? Have you gotten a real animal to actually trigger
We
anything?
did the pressure pad with Maddie, but that was a little forced.
Uh-huh.
But it's mostly been inside so far. I do have a fake squirrel. But
You could do,
and I
like,
like how
if it senses a high amount of pressure, it doesn't really say anything. Because
It's
a
weighted
amount
and
of pressure.
Nice fake squirrel.
yeah, Maddie.
Is it weighted?
Yeah, I put weights in him so that he would
We
be.
even looked up like the
Because see,
approximate
there's
weight of a
random
squirrel.
stuff stuffed into him. 'Cause
Nice.
Toy.
Maddie took out the stuffing, and so.
Cool.
And he's about as light as squirrels get too. I looked it up. So, but. So this is our fake squirrel, and we'd have to put it outside for a while to attempt to get real squirrels. And I'm thinking that maybe we'll put some seed near the pad initially anyways to attract something, just so to attract attention, and the other squirrels can be like, hey, what's going on over here? And then it increases the probability of setting it off.
Cool.
Because squirrels are a little harder than dogs.
I don't see as much a problem as long as we can get it in the branches. And I have ladders.
Yeah.
We have a tree I can climb myself. Just we have the batteries.
But this is why, yeah, you definitely need to get the animals interacting, because they are hard to. There's all these other factors that will be very difficult, and they'll show you problems that you didn't think about that could have occurred. So that's very important. to your project. Real quick, I'm still not 100% spatially visualize how this is mounted in the tree. So if I am, let's say, here's your device, is this sort of thing.
Okay.
So I'm a tree, here's a branch that's
This
coming
can
out of
be
it.
hung pretty much anywhere. We can
So
make
it's
it
hanging from a string?
yeah, it's got this little hook right here, and the string threads through that, and it
Okay.
basically, so I can
So
put
here's
the-
a branch right
put the
here.
bottle wherever I want, and then
Okay.
like another branch down here that the servo is attached to, this with a slight offset.
Okay, so I have another branch down here.
So, like,
it's actually sitting on it?
Here, let me get a piece of cardboard from that box. Make it be the servo. And then, okay, so this is kind of hanging from here. There's another branch. It's got a slight offset, and the servo is attached to the branch, and it's like that. And there's a bin underneath it.
Okay. What's the bin underneath it?
Well, it's to collect the food.
Ah, okay.
Or we don't even necessarily have to do that.
You just
go
drop
to the
it.
ground. But
It wouldn't be welcome.
And where's the pressure pad?
the pressure pad would be on like up here or something, or
Not directly like next to it, but it's kind of like a
we can
learning experience.
experiment
Sure,
with
sure.
different places.
Yeah.
Probably watch for places that squirrels chill in this tree to begin with.
Well, and also this will, I mean, already you can kind of see how you're going to need serendipitously kind of branches strategically placed around.
Well,
You
even
won't
if
be
we
able to
have the
control
branch,
that much.
we can use a branch in like a trunk code to this. And,
Okay.
but definitely the pad being in a different spot from the thing is alright.
Are you guys gonna have like something to like hold the food from falling all over the ground in here?
Oh, I mean, theoretically, but we could also get away with not doing that. Because at the end, if it's on the ground, the animals will still go get it.
Yeah. But this is supposed to be like avoiding squirrels eating it, or?
Well, like, what we're going to do is try different ways to detect squirrels and birds, and we'll, like, see which one
Do you
goes
have like one of these
forward.
full of nuts and one of these full of
Well, no, because both of them will eat anything.
Yeah, I guess my question is like, what is the advantage of this over like a normal bird?
Okay, well, this one is every time the arm moves, and it can tells me which sensor moved and how much it moved. And the thing would be it counts. There's a squirrel counter and a bird counter, and it would show you like how many are in an area in general, and like.
How's it showing this?
There's a counter in the serial monitor, which I can make it right to a text thing too. So and only
Text.
a text. I don't know. I'm not very good at saving.
We'll figure that out.
But right now it can't be removed completely from the computer. If we have a really long cables and really long wires, it'll be okay. But we were trying to think of an analog way to count, but I'm not really sure how to do that. Like I had a dropper with different markings, and say that just push it down one marking every time it counts or something like that. But right now it counts in code.
Real quick, you all know how to use servos. You can all always put a piece of cardboard behind a servo that then goes lots, little, like that. That's a really quick analog display.
See, that's the way to do it without the computer.
Exactly.
We can take the computer.
That's a good idea.
I like that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Could you maybe, I don't know if this is feasible, but another like output could be if you could tell when the bird feeder is empty, so the output would be kind of like for human benefit to know like, oh, my bird feeder's empty, I need to go feed it, or like.
Well, you could calibrate it and say how many, because in Final Bottom we've already decided we're going to cut and put a hole at the top so that we can refill it, and have it so figure out how many servo swings it takes to empty the bottle.
Yeah. So you're gonna kind of let it know when.
Once it hits that point, we can also do it, have it say.
I guess it would like would it alert you when you are empty?
I don't really want to figure out Bluetooth, but we can try.
That'd be cool. Well, even like a beeping sound or.
Yeah, I just go out and
something.
be like, oh, my bird feeder's
Oh, that already worked. I took it out because I was scared it would scare birds. But
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It makes random noise every now and then. You're
Could you have like a light that turns on? Would light scare birds? Are they afraid of that?
I think just sudden movements.
Yeah.
I don't think they probably care about lights. They live in the air.
That's true.
Other critiques, class.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
It's cool. Just make sure that it can tell the difference between squirrels and birds, which I guess you guys are still working on. Hey, calm down.
What is the point
Maddie,
in knowing the different?
Maddie, come here.
Maddie.
Why do you have to know between squirrels and birds?
Well, that was just our original idea, the competition thing, to see who was winning in the area. But, I mean, it's not mandatory, but it's...
Yeah, I don't think that is necessary to know the difference. As long as it's like an animal, like a woodland creature interacting with your children.
What about,
that chipmunk in your yard.
anybody have any questions about any of our three big overall concepts for the class?
Yeah, what would be the human connection with that? Or is it just for pure entertainment? Like, oh, birdies.
Well, I mean, so first of all, that could be a connection. The human-animal connection doesn't mean that a human's actually necessarily in the loop,
Yeah.
but that somehow your thing is
thing is-
revealing something about
All
you.
the squirrel bird counter would be the human.
Oh, okay, okay.
And you can actually, instead of them being all in camouflage up in the tree and everything, you can at least see them get to this.
You can put the pad somewhere very visible, so if the animals learn to go there, and experience with feeders, they do learn to go where they need for it. But if you put the pad like in front of your window and the birds will land on your window, it's like, well, not sure you want to put squirrels there, but that's
So one last critique from me would be, and this is going to be important for everyone. So you hear me yammer about how buttons are lame and how computer screens are lame. And the reason they're lame is not just because I'm like, oh, they're lame. The deeper reason behind this is because when we send something to a completely human readable or human usable input or output, it kind of locks it off. Whereas, so right now, if they can detect like between like a bird or a squirrel, and they have this data, that data is sitting there with the potential to join back into the environment in some sort of interesting way. If we send it just to humans only, then it kind of locks it off. But there's other things you could do with that data if you use some sort of analog expression of it in the real world. For instance, you could have something where, let's say there's a separate sensor for the birds and the squirrels, and both sensors start off near the feeders. And as the birds or the squirrels use one or the other, the output actually moves the sensor maybe further away. It could be like on a string or something where it moves a greater distance. So then you could have this system that you get this feedback, and it actually makes it more challenging. It kind of turns it into this like multi-level game where you're challenging the animals to like, okay, well, squirrels made it to level 3, but can they defeat the boss at level 4? Kind of thing.
Very hard. We can try experimenting with that.
Mm-hmm.
You could
You
also
need more servos.
Sure. And I have some servos you can borrow back there. But also like servos are great, right? They're super easy and fun to use. So I say everyone just stock up.
One thing you could do if you eliminated squirrels from the picture and didn't put it in like a tree is if you had it on kind of like a sliding, like if you had like a pole or whatever and then had wood coming out of it like that and had it on a sliding surface. So kind of like
Like a clothesline?
something like that to be like, we want
You can move
birds,
the feeder, I guess.
yeah, to get closer, like you want them to recognize like, oh, there's a new feeder in this backyard, and then have it, as they keep using it and more comfortable to use it, move closer to like the window. So like it's like, oh, now I can see the birds right outside my window or
You
something.
get tired.
Yeah. But also, yeah, feeding back these interactions in a physical way will also take in some, it'll give you some extra environmental factor kind of implicitly within it. So that's why it's not just grumpy old man Andy hates computers these days. It's just that, how old do you guys think I am?
Let me guess.
28.
I'd
Oh,
say
I was gonna
30
say
is very
29.
oldest. 29?
I can't tell.
Somewhere
The
between
last
35 and
PhD
25.
student I knew was 26.
35 and 25.
Between 25 and
I don't think you're in your
young.
30s.
28.
Yeah, I don't think
Young
You're definitely not in your
PhD
30s.
student.
You're 27.
You got it.
Hey, that is perfectly between 25
I know, right?
and 30.
Yeah. I think that's pretty easy to just be like, it's a pretty good guess for a PhD student. Anyway, cool, great. And now let's check out the last project of the day.
Actually, this one I have. What is that? What are you doing?
Okay. Cool. Are you guys going to present here? Is this where we shall gather?
Yes, this would be great.
Okay, class, gather. Let's have you and Scout be on this side. And we'll set up a Maddie zone over here.
Maddie needs a big zone. Can you sit there?
Oh my god, now I want to get those masters. I used to want to bloodhound.
They debate between bloodhounds and Bushmen.
I love bloodhound. I have a great team.
Alright, guys. Tell us what your awesome project.
So, last night we tried many different ways to get the worm to set off our original sensor, where we had the big nut, just like the metal sheet. And we're like, oh, let's just stick it in the ground and see if it'll catch it. But it's like, the readings weren't very good, so we're trying to get something that has a consistent reading. So then Eric had a good idea to put copper something.
Okay.
And so we have a little like break right here. And so what we need to do is have the worm drop the pad and then it will just kind of, but basically like if you look at the graph, like it goes. So like that's the worm touching both sides and then he'll move away.
Oh,
and it
that's
goes
really
down.
cool.
That's pretty cool.
So like it goes back to where
Both sides being like this
side
corner
and
and
this
that.
side. Like the worm is completing the loop basically.
Cool.
And sometimes he will go back, he's kind of in there, so.
What are these? So the usual input.
It jumps when he press both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Is that harmful to worms?
No.
They are like having electricity.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what they already have.
quick question. The usual touche has just the one input.
Yeah.
What is this other thing hooked up to?
Yeah. So, when I was testing it, I was like, oh, I can't get like enough electricity in the worms. But I realized that if they were, touching whatever the touche sensor was touching, and I touched the worm in any place, that sent enough electricity through the worm to be detected by the touche. So I decided, I need to put some more electricity through these worms.
So you're
that
charging
they
up
can
the
detect it.
worms.
Yeah. And so what we did is stuck a 9-volt battery to the one side of the copper strip. But when we did that, it caused the battery to overheat very quickly.
Oh,
Cycling
yeah.
electricity through
Yeah. You're just shorting the battery.
So instead, since we were already using the Arduino, I thought, well, why not use the 5-volt output? So there's a red wire running from the 5-volt output to that one copper strip. And so basically, it's just waiting to complete the circuit. Like, if all it's doing is detecting the electricity that's coming out of the Arduino instead of the worm, but it can only detect it if the worm completes the circuit.
Well, and so have you tried this with, earlier you guys were saying that you tried out the approach of like you put like the big metal thing that I gave you into the thing and it wasn't detecting the worms moving around much. Have you tried like having two of those plates, one the regular touche and then one just charging thing, and maybe it'll kind of charge everything in the vicinity and just give different readings?
I actually thought about that, and then I forgot this morning. But I think this has kind of led us to an idea of more of a unnatural environment. Like a board game kind of idea. And the first thing that came to mind was Operation. Because they're completing the circuit and like automatically goes like a red light and a buzzer goes on. So maybe come up with some sort of game to like get your worms to like move across the board
Hmm.
Can you like motivate the worms to do things, and so they're not just a random seed?
I have noticed that if we put like a bunch of worms on one side and put one by itself, it's gonna go back to the group.
Yeah. They're group.
They're slowly attracted to like rotting pumpkin and like moldy bread and stuff.
So what would your outputs be back to the worms?
That we haven't gotten yet.
Okay.
It was really just trying to be able to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough project if I do something.
Guess all the other things
the
like
last one.
prototypes, and these are like
Mhm.
actually.
I feel like Anna and I kind of accomplished our stupid pet check, but now we need to.
I think I have an idea of what we can do to modify it.
Cool.
It might be difficult. Actually, at the
Let's think about their project right now.
Yeah.
Concerns, critiques,
Do you
ideas.
guys have any ideas for like the game board aspect of it? Because like this flat surface is really cool.
You could like use them like what was it, the guy who had the soccer thing, and like if you find a way to make the worms move, you can have a person put that there to try to trigger your touche, and when the touche thing triggers, you get a point or something. So like you're trying to get the worms to move across the table. Is there anything like specific they react to that you guys found? Interrupt you. Besides when they're bottom and then rather do they react to moisture or like you could
I
possibly
think
like
light
encourage them?
is a factor.
Light is definitely a factor.
Do they like light or they don't like it?
Ah.
You could have
I've
like
seen them drop towards light.
You could have a custom game board that you make with like kind of underlit areas that could drive them away.
Or something like really wet soil and then really dry soil. I really definitely want to be in the dry soil.
Mhm.
you could also have quote unquote like caves that they can go into, like little just like little
Yeah, you could have little areas on a board that are shadowed, and then you could actuate them so they can actually like open up.
Yeah.
So they all gather up there. Maybe it opens or something like that.
and it's the same way as worms, like where you guys have the red paper, the red.
I don't know.
You can see through there.
Yeah, you can easily find this during research. What type? I'm sure people have studied earthworms and what types of electromagnetic radiation they respond to. So you can see what wavelengths they like, what wavelengths they hate, whatever.
What if like if you guys could do operation, that would be so cool. So what if you had something like the board game, and then underneath it is like something clear so that we can like see them traveling, but under every like body part you guys have like a circuit or whatever.
One of those.
So then like whenever it was on both of them, like it would light up. It would kind of be like them playing operation versus us, but it's
Mhm.
Yeah, you could have a human player versus worm team or something like that. That would be cute.
Wouldn't it be? You could have a kind of game where like you have like a body that you have to deworm, represented on the board table or something like that. And so the human can do like weird manipulations, like trigger it to like open or close a certain area. But then the worms can also trigger things to open or close in certain areas. So yeah, you get this kind of human versus worm in these indirect control areas. And that could be very interesting. One thing I should mention about the touche thing was basically they've kind of gone out of their way to de-engineer the technology behind the touche. So the whole point of the touche is that you have a whole range of different values that it can represent in different postures that the worms could have.
I don't even need the touche.
Exactly. You don't even need the touche. You could just make touch sensors that they complete the circuits in. That being said, it could be interesting to experiment with having an area where you have a big, large plate, and when the worm is on different areas of that, it will respond. You're not going to be able to see it visually, but if you can get the processing thing running, I'm sure that you can get like the worms down here, the worms are up here, and you can actually get it to recognize those high-level behaviors. And that'll be really interesting in terms of making your gameplay not as much of a binary set of choices. Even if it's just like one part of your game board is like this special crazy like worm multiplier zone or something. Like if worms get down here, then it's, worm free-for-all and they get a bonus round or something.
Kind of off of like the game aspect of it, but like when the worm completes the circuit, there's like a little spike in the graph. Would there be a way that you guys could like hook? Don't need that. Hook music up to that, like whenever there's like a spike, it makes like a noise or like plays like a brief. Cause that would be kind of cool. It'd be like the worms were creating music while you're playing your game. That would be pretty great for the game.
It's decent, feedback for the human user. Yeah.
Maybe you could just make like a keyboard, and the worms just play things as they wander around. But that's something completely different.
Now, would that actually meet the requirements of this project?
That's up to you guys. Would worms that make music meet all the requirements of the project?
Well, that could
I would say
be.
that's probably the hardest
Human
part.
animal
That could be one of the.
What meets the requirements.
That's why I tried to.
Still difficult.
Uh-huh.
That could be part of it. Like if we do another aspect for the worms as well. That could be the extra output so you got, and it's affecting the environment, but not the worms environment, so it's not changing their behavior.
What if we made like worms?
Yeah, it'd be missing an output back to the worms. What were you saying?
I was gonna say like worms would actually be kind of like keyboard somehow, then what keys they played and like saved it so that like it became kind of like sheet music that you could have later, like the worms like made up this song.
They could like change the lighting to make them go to those certain areas that made that music, maybe.
Maybe. So that gets a little more away from, and Mary's always very good to point out when we are just using the animals as a random seed. If you find yourself doing something that like, great, we have all these animals, but it's doing nothing more than inserting a command that just says random 0 through 10 in my code, then it's probably not going to meet the requirements of the project. Because now you want some sort of meaningful input and output to your animals. So that's where the kind of board game idea is very strong, because you can end up with these. The worms are doing something. They're changing their whole own weird environment that you put them in. And then it's also Halloween themed. It's kind of like Saw, but maybe less disturbing. But then also it gets the human to engage back with them too, in different ways that the worms can give you feedback. You get sound feedback, so you know exactly what the worms are doing, and that's a good use for like sound or even kind of musical sonified kind of things. But that would be the strong points of that idea. And again, you wouldn't have to use the touche, though I would strongly recommend testing out, see if you can get the processing example to run with like a worm on like a plate or something like that, because the world hasn't really seen much of that. They've hooked it up to a plant. But then they're kind of like, let's just do doorknobs. So they're very focused on human stuff with that, and it could be very strong for the worms. We already saw it can pick up Maddie. So that could be really interesting and could help really make your game or whatever you create interesting. And you already have the hard part done, putting all the parts together. So yeah, any other final critiques, ideas?
I think it's pretty cool.
Okay.
What if it's like a maze?
Uh-huh.
Like with the worms, and the worm touches it, but the door is open, but if it...
Sure.
I think that would be a very interesting game.
Yeah, exactly.
But always give the worms kind of an upper hand.
Mm-hmm. And you could come up with different ways of, scoring. Maybe they have to get to a specific area, or maybe it's just however many worms are in like certain color-coded regions. Like you want more worms in green, the worms want to be in red or something. Yeah. There's lots of different, Pac-Man comes to mind, but there's other more kind of logic-y games that deal with that. So those would be good research. Either of you do video game developing stuff, or I would, if you want, I can try to set up a meeting with you guys and some like video game developer people who may have some really cool ideas for you guys.
Just come to VGW.
Exactly, that's what I was just thinking. I was just going to send you guys to VG Dev. And Chris DeLeon, he might help you. He's a super vegan. He's a wonderful guy.
I think
He just got $5,000 yesterday.
He's the superest of people.
He won the Foley Award for being super cool last night.
That's just Chris.
He loves
Yeah.
clouds.
He does love clouds. Yes, exactly. Yeah. He's in Celia's class. Exactly. Yeah, he's awesome.
Next semester, she could teach her. I've heard she's pretty cool.
She wears purple all the time.
Yeah.
Every day.
So okay. Total aside. I walked into a meeting once. I was just like 10 seconds late. I step right in, and there's all these teachers, and Celia is there, and she's like, and that's why I always wear purple every day. And I was like, I just missed out on the big secret. But it was like too crowded. I couldn't just be like, what was like the 3 sentences you said right before this?
You have to find out.
I know, right?
Maybe she did because you walked in 10 seconds.
Yeah, maybe, exactly. So always be on time. She does. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Purple tights, purple skirts, purple dresses, purple rain jackets, purple shoes.
Well, now I'll know I'm in the right class. If I
Yeah.
go to class and my teacher's wearing purple.
Yeah.
Sometimes she wears purple.
Yeah, it can be
But
plays on
when
purple.
she's on her game. She's
Yeah.
on her game.
So what time is it, Eric?
122.
Good timing, class. Look at this. Game plan for you guys. What I would do is start. You know that you can do a basic sense of worms. Start figuring out outputs to the worms that you actually see them react to. So step one of your project is start figuring out things with light and whatever that you can manipulate the worms around. Because then, once you have just these two little elements, you can start designing your game board. Does it sound like you guys are going to go with the game board idea? Okay, so that's good. You got that locked down. Game board, your input, your output. Next thing I would do is seriously look at the two shape thing. See if you can, even if it's just one worm in different poses or something like that, and see if you can get those abilities changed. And if you need, we can borrow different computers or something. If for some reason just the Mac is being weird with the stuff like that, just let me know, okay? So outputs, touche, then start planning the actual game board out. Sound good? Good couple first steps? Awesome. So, class, last thing before you all go. Beekeeper outfit. Have you guys ever seen beekeeper outfit before?
Yes.
Cool. So, yeah, Mary Kate and Ashley. That's actually what I'm going as today.
Need the pucker smile.
But yeah, so usually I'm missing some things from my gloves, right?
Those are important.
She also has to say everything's done.
Yeah.
with the hand.
Also, you shouldn't wear. Does anybody know what this is?
A ring.
Made out of
Metal.
what kind of metal?
Gold.
How rich is Professor Andy?
Silver.
Really?
Magnesium.
Stainless steel.
Clean that ring. Tungsten.
Oh, totally about the pin.
Yeah.
Please think of it.
Totally. Tungsten's really hard. It can be hard to chop off. If you're tending bees, take off your rings that are nearly uncuttable in case you get stung in the finger and your hand swells up, and then you have to get your finger amputated because they can't get the ring off.
It's cutting off the blood to your
Yeah, exactly.
I remember
The ring's only $25 already.
I did get stung once.
Wait, that makes $25. Is that your wedding ring?
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, screw that.
I don't need
People
gold.
made their wedding ring. It's why it's $10,000.
I made my engagement rings. They have a tooth in
You
them.
made them?
Anyway,
You have to show us.
Sure, I'll bring it in one day.
And the video. You
Um,
take the tooth and you just put it in a rough tumbler and make it all round and shiny.
Weird.
It's like a pearl.
Final announcement. Final announcement.
Check out their tooth and put it in a...
Forever together.
Final announcement. Tuesday is going to be a special day. We got lots of special days coming up, guys. Do you guys remember what's going on Tuesday? You should remember the
We have a speech.
5th of November. Come on.
I was close.
V for Vendetta.
Oh, yeah.
Guy Fawkes Day. What else is happening?
Really?
Oh, we have a speaker.
We have
Sarah?
Sarah.
Yeah, so I'm in a class.
Cool. Sarah Schumann. The Skype thing is in 2 weeks. Sarah Schumann, who is a PhD student in media, has graciously offered to give you guys a super cool workshop on e-textiles and soft circuits.
Is that here or is it going to be in some lab?
It's going to be in a lab,
CSRB.
TSRB, 3rd floor.
Wait, that's
Okay?
on Tuesday, yeah, okay.
That's on Tuesday. So don't come here Tuesday. Come to the lab. Also, you probably won't be able to bring pets inside TSRB. So FYI, security's crazy over there. Okay? Question.
New project direction.
Okay. Or really quick, was there any last things?
Oh, no.
Okay. Everybody good? Everybody good?
Yes.
Cool.
Consider, I want to like get one on breakfast.
Yes.
So I cut off this side here, like right here.
Okay.
So what, if there's like any toys in there, so cat is going to be best for this.
Then it turns, it
Cat
just falls
wants
out.
to play with this, and they can be motorized. You know, like motorized little mice that you
Sure.
can have. So just like start spinning around. So obviously, cat wants to play. Oh, cat's gonna get to play, and then all of a sudden, one mouse gets out, and they'll have like the accelerometer on it. I guess if it stops moving, so spin and release another mouse, so the cat just keeps getting.
You know what you can
coming
do?
out at it.
Is so you can make these little mice, right? You can have all kinds of things that are cool about them. If you use your little AT Tinies, they can flash, they can wiggle, you can put all kinds of stuff in them. Communication's going to be hard, though.
Yeah.
How's it going to communicate back to the other things to let this main server know something to do, right?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So what you can do is, one way around this is, your main thing has a microphone on it. Your microphones, you can get some libraries that do FFT filters. You're an engineer, right? Or you took an engineering...
Computational media.
You
I'm
had
friends
an
with
engine.
engineers.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Your engineering friends probably know about fast Fourier transforms, right? It's basically how you get frequencies out of noise data. Your little mouse or whatever has a small speaker in it, and it makes a specific frequency chirp. That's really easy to program. Be like, okay, chirp at 400 hertz or something like that. Something that goes beep, beep, beep. Your computer is always listening to this. Your mouse that has an accelerometer or whatever in it, doesn't even have to be something as expensive as an accelerometer,
Stops beeping if it's caught.
stops beeping when it gets caught, and this thing knows like, okay, now I can change it to be another thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Is that a better interaction with the animal?
Well,
than
maybe
just
afterwards,
speaking?
like, being caught, they can provide it with a treat.
Or I
Sure.
was thinking it spins again and releases another one, so the cat just keeps
So, like, continuous playing.
Yeah.
Well, and so this is a good start to making some sort of game out of it too then, right? So it can be, they're doing kind of humans versus worms.
Yeah.
You could almost do like humans versus machines to get the attention of the cat. And you can have kind of this higher level thing of like, does the cat love me or the robot?
Cat like me,
you
or
know?
does it like me playing with it?
Exactly, yeah, exactly, yeah.
This thing, I'm thinking maybe we could put like a catapult in here, like cut holes, or would
Oh.
it be easier to cut the edge off of this? I think maybe just cutting the edge off, just tapping it.
Cutting the edge off is going to be, I don't know, a little more permanent.
Yeah, which is totally fine. I don't mind completely just
Okay.
ripping this thing apart. But I'm thinking of cutting this edge off and like this one.
Yeah, that might be easy.
Or you can just cut little holes in the bottom of here and put a catapult.
Okay. So anyway, I think it's a fruitful idea to get started on that you can elaborate with this kind of game. So what's your game plan going to look like?
Like game plan as far as like getting this done.
Yeah.
Or- so
Later.
it's due in how
Happy
many
Halloween.
weeks? Like 3 weeks.
Yeah, everything's due in like 3 weeks. 3
Okay.
weeks.
So I'm thinking I have at my house I have one of those old it's like a little, looks like a bunny rabbit. You pull the tail, it spins, it vibrates and like runs around. Thinking of, so cat would be better for this. I feel like dogs aren't as like excited by catching toys
Okay.
as cats are. And
Remember what I said, you need to
Yeah.
lock down an animal
would you
today.
be good with cat? Okay.
Yeah,
Or this idea?
Well,
Is
yeah,
it-
yeah.
Okay.
Just something that like fulfills all our requirements.
I feel
like just changing it into a toy, like would be make it more likely to fulfill the requirements that people.
Okay. I do too. I think it'll be more interesting. You'll run into fewer problems of like feeding gets weird.
But even if we're like using this mouse thing, how is that supposed to like interact with the environment? Like that still could be in any environment. That could be outside. That could be inside. That could be. So I'm not exactly sure how that could change the environment.
It's true.
if the cat catches it, then it's like another one. Hey.
Still, that's just the thing. So you can have you know, at the basics, you could have certain things like the fake mice that you put out have a little like temperature sensor, and if it's cold, they run around really slow. If it's warmer, they run around really fast. So you know, different things like that, where it just becomes like there's an impact from your surrounding world onto how this functions.
Okay.
This thing doesn't have just its eyes and ears closed and it's just like whipping around the world. It's actually like, you know, learning and doing stuff.
There's also alarm clocks that are attracted to darkness for people who like can't wake up. It like falls on the thing and keeps going until it finds darkness.
Breitenberg vehicles
Yeah.
is very simple things to make. You just have two photo sensors hooked to two motors, and if there's more light over here, then it drives away from that.
Sweet.
It's very simple to build.
Cool. That'd be a good idea. Like,
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wheelie things, though, might be harder to build than like something that just vibrates and wiggles around. Now, you could have an idea of, so those little clocks, they have sensors on two places, and they go to different wheels. Each sensor turns the wheel faster or slower depending on how much light it gets. You could have something where you have like two vibrating motors, or two, you know, those bristle bots, where you just have like those toothbrush bristle things hooked up to a vibrating motor. You could have them, and it just kind of wiggles around, and the wiggling gets changed on how much light is in the environment. And so maybe it wiggles away from the light or wiggles closer to the light. It's just harder to get wheels going than just my fun thing.
Vibrating things. I was also thinking just buying a bunch of those night things and like cutting into them exactly what it does and just
Sure.
doing what makes it go.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, putting your environmental impact into the thing coming out, I think is a great way.
Okay.
To
So do you
to
like
solve
that
some of
direction better? I thought of it, or
Or is it stronger?
I think it's stronger for you guys to be able to latch on to these
And
like
understand it.
requirements.
Okay, and I don't think it'll be that hard to just add that little extra element of having the things because we've already got the
Sure.
rotation.
So here's what I would suggest.
Okay.
First thing for you guys to do,
Yeah.
start building these crazy things.
Okay.
Okay? Second thing to do, get the crazy things to work and be deployable from this. Okay? First thing is just get those crazy things working. Second thing, get them deployable from this. Third thing, start planning out the more larger overall interaction.
Okay.
Make sense? Okay, so crazy things, and it's going to be fun. You're going to build crazy things for cats to play
Give
with.
it to my friend so you know
Yeah.
for cat.
Exactly.
But it wouldn't be like
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, I gotta get to my next class.